In this clip we are going to explore nature. It's something that we as human beings once had a very close relationship with, and with urbanisation we begin more and more to drift away from what nature is and how it impacts on our lives. First, I would like to start saying about our relationship with the world. So we have identifications within us, or I could call them spirits. For instance, animal spirits. Each one of us has an animal spirit, and in a series of explorations it is possible to find out that animal spirit within you. My animal spirit is an elephant, and this is reflected very strongly in my own life, about the way I complete tasks, how I think, and my attitude towards others is very much around the animal. And I find that having an animal spirit and understanding the animal that spirit inhabits you enables you then to communicate with all animals, because you then begin to open up a new world, a new consciousness of the world around us. And one of the things that it becomes interesting is the observing of animals, to see how they behave and to see their relationship with each other and how they have created a balance within nature. And this is very important to us as human beings, because it broadens us. It helps develop our own understanding of the world around us. All human beings also have a tree spirit. Mine happens to be the silver birch. But trees are essential to our well-being, not only for the function they have in the planet, but also because they too communicate very strongly. And a life without trees would be a very dull place indeed. And also trees communicate with each other, have a strong network of communication that science is even now just beginning to understand. And if you've ever spent time in the forest and just sitting there, you will find that there is a harmony and a rhythm and a sound of the trees being that you can become part of. And the same is with plants. Every plant has its own spirit, and we have a plant within us that is our very own, and mine is the poppy. It takes a long time to discover why a certain plant or why a certain animal or tree that you can strongly identify with, but it's really well worth the search, and begin to look and study what within yourself, what plant you relate to, what you identify with, and which feels comfortable with you. And then you begin to look at plants a lot differently, and you begin to see their importance and what they add to our consciousness and our understanding. And so before we become destructive of them, we need to think about how we can best preserve them, because they are part of us. Insects as well. Insects are very much part of our existence, and yes, I was just thinking which was my insect, and that is the ladybird. I have a strong affinity with ladybirds and with the poem about the ladybird, which feels very comfortable to me, and I get a great joy when suddenly I see a lot of ladybirds or ladybird lands on me. I find that quite an exciting moment. Birds also, we have a very strong relationship, and the bird that I most identify with is the robin. Very independent bird, very territorial, quite aggressive at times, and there's something quite strong for me about the bird. And yeah, I can spend a long time watching the robins hopping around, and I always feel uplifted when the robin comes into the garden, and we seem to look at each other for a long time and recognise our link and that we have within this world. So nature is something that we need to look at very, very carefully. And rocks as well. Rocks have an energy. They also have a spirit. And many people say, oh, they don't. But you ask the geo-hunters who go out and looking for rocks and what sort of rocks they're looking for, and what particular rock you feel drawn to. And I feel very drawn to two. One, I feel very, the ruby has, since I was a child, I've always been interested in red, the rubies, and you can see that reflected maybe on the plants and the animals and insects that I like. And the other rock that I have gives a strong, powerful draw to is granite. I love the feel of granite, and I can mould and work with granite and feel granite all the time with great satisfaction. And if all of us took the time to say, well, okay, let us experiment, let's explore what these different aspects of nature, and to see whether it relates to us. And when you find it does, and it will, it draws you closer and closer to the world that we live in. And, you know, instead of feeling isolated, it's such joy to go out into the countryside and just sit and be part of it, knowing that you're part of it, with all these links that are around you. And it will raise you to a new sense of consciousness. And then the way that you shape your world will be less destructive of the natural world. Because we can use the natural world in so many ways. But just to have oases of green desert instead of looking at the way that we can grow plants, how we can foster insects, how we can encourage wild animals to survive, and all the other things that we should be doing in nature, growing trees and contributing. If we can do this, then not only does it enhance the planet, but it also helps us progress, makes us more conscious, more aware, and then we can create all sorts of beauty out in the wild that we don't do at the moment. This regimentation that we have of endless monotony of controlled gardens, controlled lawns, I think we need to get rid of and start a new type of world with a new relationship with the natural world around us, which could be very beneficial to everyone and so exciting.